We are good. No, hold on. Where's Councillor Bartley? All right, we're good to go. Paul. Item 9. Could someone please dash out and try and find Councillor Bartley for me, please? She should be leading this item. We're up to item 9, team, which is, of course, the recommendations from the Regulatory and Safety Committee for the proposed joint traffic-related bylaws for Auckland. Look, I'm sorry Councillor Bartley's not here. Yes, she is. Here she is. Do you want to just get a minute to catch your breath and lead off, Councillor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just referring this controversial item to governing body. No, just jokes, it's not controversial. It's a consolidation, like it's very confusing regarding the different bylaws when it comes to our roadways. So this is asking governing body to approve this going up for public consultation. This proposal to improve Auckland's vehicle use and parking bylaws, and the recommendations are a response to a joint bylaw review completed in July this year by the committee and Auckland Transport. So as we all know, the approach is confusing for the public to understand and for the police, council and Auckland Transport to administer and enforce. The proposal consolidates 3 bylaws into a single Auckland Transport and Auckland Council Vehicle Use and Parking Bylaw 2025. It will create a one-stop shop for all local vehicle use and parking rules, making it easier to understand, administer and enforce. The proposed changes will not change the way the public are currently allowed to drive, park and move around Auckland. So in terms of the next steps, Auckland Transport is scheduled to adopt the proposal at their next meeting. Public consultation will then take place from 4 November to 4 December, with public hearings scheduled for 5 and 6 December. And thank you, Councillor Ferry, for joining myself and one Haukura Independent Māori Statutory Board member and 2 Auckland Transport Board members who will make up this panel. Then the panel will recommend back to the governing body and the Board of Auckland Transport in April next year for a final decision on the proposal. Staff are here to address any questions regarding the proposed improvements, and I thank Paul for sending me these notes to share with you today.
Thank you, Councillor. Well done. Look, just to put it on the table, are you happy to move, Councillor, as the Chair of the Regulatory Committee?
Yes.
And Councillor Baker as Chair of Transport, would you like to second? Great, thank you. So we've given a good entree to this. This is going out for consultation. It's been a long morning. Going out for consultation only. Do I have any questions for staff? Fantastic. All right, staff, if you'd like to take a step back. Any comments around this? Well, I think that must have been a great lunch. I'll then put it to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We move now to item 10, which is the Chief Executive and the Chief Financial Officer. Is he here?
I'll talk.
Okay, you'll talk slowly. Update for us all. I'll start with our Chief Executive. If someone could just try and go and find our Chief Financial Officer, that would be helpful. Thank you. Phil, over to you.
Kerry to the rescue again. Yeah. Kia ora, councillors. A few things. I'll probably do this a little bit quicker than I normally do. Ross will talk to the detail, but to the end of the first quarter, I'm pleased to tell you that financially we're in good shape, favourable in terms of OPEX, revenue, improvements in terms of outstanding debt. The metrics are all in a positive space. And, you know, more detail if needed from Ross, noting that the formal quarterly report's coming through shortly that will summarise it in detail. Actually, this will sound a little bit random. Moving to emergency management, I wanted to signal to you that we are organising a quite fulsome and formal briefing for you ahead of the summer that will come through shortly. It's important that yourselves, but also the local board chairs, our partners in emergency services and other stakeholders are aware of preparations. I'm very mindful, somewhat motivated if you like, around de-risking possible weather events in the new year as we get into cyclone season and what have you. And I'm not going to take the chance that we're not very fully prepared and that you're briefed in advance and have a sense of, you know, us being very organised. I'm not used to you being there, Councillor Henderson. Aspirations for Deputy Mayoralty, perhaps? I don't know.
And if you sit there, you'll find that your colleague will make you copious amounts of tea.
Yeah. Discussions with government about a range of things, including transport arrangements in the water space, are progressing very well. Again, just signalling you will be further briefed shortly in that area after the Mayor and Minister consider some advice from us and jointly with Ministry of Transport, which is due with them tomorrow. So it's going to be important that there's a briefing of you shortly. I won't go into detail now, it's not appropriate. You can expect in the Mayor's proposal due in November some clarity of the thinking around the CCO space, including transport. And it'll be accompanied by some independent staff advice as well. Sort of a few monthly Skype issues, there could be lots. Council's lifeguard team won the National Pool Life-Saving Competition for the second year in a row. So that team comprised people from Albany, Westwave and Moananui, Kiwa. So a few of your areas represented there. A note as well, renewal of funding from MSD with Healthy Waters for their work program Ngā Puna Pukenga. They've now exceeded 1,000 people coming through that scheme into sustainable employment, and it's kind of earned ongoing support from government. I'll just round it out. I'm missing out a few things for the sake of brevity, but I will, as I've been doing, just give you a quick update on the Recovery Office numbers. Again, confirming the accelerating picture here in terms of the settlement of these buyout properties. We have revised the forecast for the number of Category 3 property buyouts to now 1,200, and that's giving rise to some further discussions with central government about the funding picture and where money appropriately sits across the different funding buckets. It does have a bearing on the final number, as we've discussed previously, of 2C properties. But the scheme is now formally closed, and the number of opt-ins at closure is 3,512. We have confirmed final categories for 2,497 of those properties, 865 of them being Category 3. The question, as well as closing off those numbers, the question then is around progress with agreeing valuations and settlement. We have communicated 658 valuations to property owners. There have been 405 offers made and 319 offers now completed, i.e. settled. And there are 40 properties now that have been fully deconstructed. So again, a picture of, or an accelerating picture. The final number represents additional challenge in terms of closing out some of these situations, but the team's working at full speed. I'm confident they're doing everything they can to try and get as many people through this as quickly as possible. I will leave my bit there and hand to Ross. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay, thank you. So a few updates in the financial space for the month. So in September, we had both our rating agencies, both Moody's and S&P Global, come and do their annual credit rating review. As we've advised via a memo, both of them have reaffirmed the current ratings. So the AA for S&P Global and AA2 for Moody's, both on a stable outlook. So it's pleasing to get that information. I mean, it's not a change from what it's been for a long time, but across the wider sector, we have seen a number of other local authorities that have been put on negative watch, and some councils such as in the Wellington region and Hamilton downgraded, and been downgraded and put onto negative outlook, which reflects some of the pressures across the local government sector, and in particular, uncertainty around water infrastructure. So, what's different about Auckland, I guess, is in fact we have got a good, stable, long-term plan in place, and we do have, a good water model that's now in place and embedded. So, in terms of the assessment, the key things they're looking at, the rating agencies, in terms of risk profiles going forward, is the debt and financial metrics, but also kind of looking at that broader local government overall context. If things were to improve across the sector, S&P have indicated that could be positive for our rating, and equally Moody's have indicated that if there's any kind of reduction in sort of level of Crown support for the sector, or there's kind of capping of ability to rate, those kind of things could be a negative for our rating. So other things, Phil mentioned the annual plan process. So obviously we're in the middle of our budget committee workshops at the moment. We've had that direction from yourselves in terms of what you want advice on. Staff across the organisation, across the group, are busy working away on that advice, and they'll bring that forward through these budget committee workshops, and a lot of focus on getting you into a good position where by the end of the year you can have a mayoral proposal and make decisions for consultation. There has been a memo around the timing of the property revaluations. We had hoped that would be, property valuations would be notified out to Aucklanders this calendar year, but that has slipped a bit, and so that'll be sometime in the first half of next calendar year. We've got to work through timings with our suppliers, the Valuer General, and so we'll give you an update on the timing of that when we know more. Other things, there's another memo that's just gone out today around the Fix and Finish Fund. There's an update next around the Auckland Future Fund. That is around statement of intent and how that entity will operate. The Fix and Finish Fund is not really a matter for the directors. It's a matter for finance staff with the Mayor's office, and so you'll see in that memo we've just kind of laid out the process and some of the rules, conditions on how we see that funding work, and there's a couple of different options there around, is it a contestable fund, is it sort of a formula-driven fund? So there's some more work to be working with the relevant local board chairs, and they'll come back to governing body or relevant committee for decision making at some point. Come back soon. I guess just need to note that that is about the money that goes into that Fix and Finish Fund is basically driven by the higher returns that come out of the Future Fund. The Future Fund hasn't started operating yet. We've got to earn some money before we can spend the money. In terms of financial updates, capital investment, pretty strong delivery for year to date, 89% delivery across the group. A little bit less for transport and water care. Some of that in the transport space is due to that uncertainty around funding. You've made some decisions and given them some funding certainty there, following the annual National Land Transport Plan and your decisions today that shores up the certainty of funding, and hopefully that will give Auckland Transport more confidence to get on with accelerating their delivery of the plan. Water care, there's been a bit of slowdown on some plant renewals, planning projects, and some digital control systems. Taking a little bit longer to get up and running than expected. On the other hand, we've seen, as Phil's indicated, we're gearing up in terms of the property buybacks, so we're kind of seeing that truck ahead. In terms of some sort of project delivery highlights in the transport space, in September, we had some works in the Point Chevalier area, Meola Road resurfacing and line marking completed. There's been work completed in Cowes Bay, Waiheke Island, and some of the resilience work completed in the Waitakere East Bethels Road and roads in Piha. There has been a good progress with the Central Interceptor. Again, that's reached basically the 3/4 mark for the Central Interceptor tunnel, and there's been some investigation works completed for some key water main projects for Wesley and Owaraka. In terms of operating performance for the group, it's favourable results. So we've got group revenue 24 million higher than budgeted, and it's a combination of strong consent revenue, strong water and wastewater volumes, and some good container volumes coming through the port. Also, infrastructure growth charges at water care continue to be favourable to budget. On the spend side, also favourable. We've got about 73 million below budget year to date. A lot of that is around less outsourced works and maintenance, and some of that relates to stormwater, making space for water program just been delayed a bit. Less professional services fees and utility costs, and for water care, a little bit less spend in relation to the Waikato District Council arrangement. Employee benefits are down largely due to some unplanned vacancies. A similar story for Auckland Council parent, 87% CapEx delivery. Some good progress in September. There's the destination playground in Parakai that's opened, and also the Henua Falls main bridge has been fully remediated now. In terms of operating costs, very similar, both revenue and expenditure favourable. In the revenue space, building consent, licensing and compliance revenue is going well, and then it's that less outsourced works and maintenance is driving favourable OPEX results. That's the financial updates. I don't think we've got Gary here for the economic piece.
Councillors, Gary had a slight clash in terms of meetings, so my suggestion is that we take that aspect as read. You will be aware, I'm sure, already about shifts in the official cash rate, and so I will just take that as read at this stage and move to any questions. He said, jumping into the chairing role.
Thank you. Boy, there's some swapped roles today, aren't there? Well, first of all, I'm going to move. Do I have a seconder, Angela? Thank you very much. Sorry, Councillor Dalton. We'll go to questions. Councillor Darby, are you able to speak, or would you like me to speak and ask your questions? I can see that you're online, but I can't read the words.
I think I've got an audio, but on this little part of the island, I can't get video. If I'm coming through to you, Chair?
Yeah, loud and clear, Councillor, so go for it.
Oh, good. Thank you. For the Chief Executive, 3 questions, and they don't relate to what's in the report. It's what's not in the report. At the Transport and Infrastructure Committee in September, I asked about the funding facility grant to go to the restoration of the St. James. And the Mayor said at that time, and I think it was supported by the Executive Officer, that a report was coming to this governing body and it's not here. What is the status of that report? Are we due a report, or have things changed on that front?
Councillor, you are due a report and it is to be with you in November. So slight change of time frame, but the report is expected with you in November.
Thank you. And the second one also relates to an earlier decision in May of the governing body requesting the Chief Executive to report to the governing body on the merits and options for undertaking a joint Auckland Council government review of the 2009 establishment legislation, the Local Government Auckland Council Act. What is the current status of that work, assuming it's underway, and when would a report be due to the governing body in response to its resolution? I can't see it on the forward work program of any of the committees, and I've just found out that there's no forward work program for the governing body.
I can confirm, thank you, Councillor Darby. I can confirm that work in this space is ongoing. There are different components. We don't have an understanding with central government that LGACA will be reviewed as a whole. However, positively, we do have agreement to revisit aspects of it, and it's in that context that we're progressing discussions. You can expect reporting through November and December about some key elements here where as per agreement with you, we were pursuing some discrete changes that relate to LGACA, including in the transport governance space, by way of example. So we are going to be reporting before the end of this year on a number of changes that are being worked through with central government now in the spirit of that resolution. We don't.
Okay, look, I think that's adequate clarification. I appreciate that, Chief Executive. Just in terms of the forward work program, I can see at item 14 the forward work programs for committees. Now, apologies if I'm missing something. Is there no forward work program for the governing body?
Yes, page 215, Councillor.
My apologies. Thanks, Acting Mayor Chair. Gotcha. And I'm assuming that those items will then go on to that forward work program, if not there already.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. No other questions for the Chief Executive or the CFO? So, yes, Councillor Dalton.
Ross, congratulations to you and the team on the credit ratings and all of the good work that's been done. I had a question around the Fix and Finish Fund. So I had a really simplistic view of how that would work. We would sell the airport shares, would take 20 million, would be able to do the fix and finish. But in fact, what we're going to do is wait for the future fund to perform and return that money and then use it to do the fix and finish.
So we need to, before we deliver projects, we're going to need to know what projects and need to work through that anyway. So we'll take a little bit of time before projects happen. We don't necessarily need to, earn all the money, but I guess we need just confidence that, that the money is coming, and that depends on, we have, as you'll see in the next item, we've set up the structure, established directors, but the airport shares aren't yet sold, the money isn't invested, the money isn't at work earning returns just yet. If that's delayed, or if there is less funds available, it can have an impact on the size. So it's just a question of how much in terms of which could drive allocation. It's purely that. I don't think we need to completely wait until right after the event. So what we've done is a memo with, well, here is the process, here are some of the criteria. We need projects that have a good business case, are ready to go, can be delivered, the resources are there. We want to be successful. We don't want to just allocate money against projects that won't actually get delivered on the ground.
And so there's quite a bit of process to go through in terms of the criteria and the funding model to be discussed with local boards as well. So we're probably some months away. Yeah, thank you.
I've got no further questions. I just again want to add my congratulations on our credit rating scores. It's a credit to you and the team of people you have behind you. That's both of you. No comments? Right, it's been moved by myself, seconded by councillor Dalton. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. And just councillors, come back to me if you, anything more you want from the Chief Executive and the CFO by way of feedback. This is what we've been doing for a while. I'd be interested to see, I've been asked to ask you how you think that's going. Right, item 11, which is of course our first statement of intent to approve the Auckland